Here we go, finally.
There you go.
Welcome everybody. How are we today?
Pretty good.
Okay, same. We'll go into our safety meeting now. We were talking about JSAs and some company updates today. We're also going to go over our elite Q4, correct? Q4 elite employee. So we'll just hop on into it. So we're all familiar with JSAs, correct? Correct?
Yes.
Great. What is the main purpose of a JSA?
Identify hazards.
Identify and
Mitigate.
Avoid.
communicate hazards. The main purpose of JSAs is communicating hazards across an even playing field. So as you can see here, they're completed prior to work. They're the first thing you do before you even begin working. If changes to existing JSAs happen, you update the JSA, and then JSAs are always signed by a supervisor, signed off on them. Advantages, again, they communicate hazards. It involves every employee involved, so we're all on the same page. These aid in training new hires. So again, what is the three things of a JSA? Three components. What do you do first? Identify the steps, right? List your steps that you're doing. Then
Identify hazards.
identify hazards for each step, and then
Communicate
controls
Find
for
ways to
each step. So you have your steps, hazards involved in each of those steps, and then controls for each of those hazards. So basically laying out what a job is, what you can encounter during them, and how to mitigate them. Obviously that's going to help training new hires who are new to those different tasks. Maintain safety awareness, so you're actively thinking about the different steps in your job and how to mitigate, again, hazards that can happen. They're used as tools for accident investigation, so if something does happen, why did that incident happen? How could it have been prevented? Determines what actions will help eliminate, control, or minimize hazards. So again, we actively go through those different controls that we can use to prevent incidents from happening. Our types of controls, we go over these pretty often. We have our engineering, that's our top line of defense against hazards from happening, or hazards becoming incidents. So again, engineering controls, the way things are engineered or created. Things should be created decently safe in the first place. So the way someone manufactures something should be decently safe. Administrative controls, second, those are, right, admin, people, personnel, things we can actually do. It includes different things like training, planning, policies, procedures, safe work practices, all things that we have control over. And that last line of defense is our PPE. Again, those are not your first line between you and a hazard. It is if all other controls fail, PPE is that last barrier between you and something that happens. So again, we're pretty familiar with those things. We have our basic steps, we have our hazards for each step, and then we have our controls for each of those hazards in it. If it's a larger job, you're going to break it down into smaller steps, but typically a JSA is going to be no more than 8 steps. You want to break it down into 8 or less steps. Then you're going to, again, identify any hazards. Questions you can ask here include things like, what can go wrong while I do this? What are the consequences of doing this particular task? How can that hazard, consequence, anything like that arise? What are other contributing factors to this? I'll give you a few more examples later. But then you're going to develop any controls or solutions for each of those hazards. They have to be observable acts, again, things you can actively do to mitigate those hazards from becoming incidents. That can be finding different ways to do a job, changing the physical conditions around you, modifying any work practices or procedures, and again, using proper safety equipment and safe work practices. Again, after all that's completed, it's reviewed by all the workers on the site and then signed off by each of them. It needs to be conducted as per the steps on the JSAs. You all signed according to those steps. And then if anything happens where the steps or tasks are changed or modified or added, JSAs need to be updated and everyone needs to sign off on it again. So this here Safety focus phrase for those of you online is JSA's communicate hazards. So this is coming down the pipeline soon. It is applicable in the shop and for vendors as of now. For drivers, we're going to make a few specific departmental changes to those and get that rolled out later. But this is going to be implemented today, tonight, tomorrow, starting in the shop. We're implementing these types of things due to our genuine concern for your safety, and just recognizing that we do see a gap in that. So we're going to walk through how to actually fill out this form properly from a shop perspective specifically. So I had Sal help me out a little bit on this to make sure we were accurate in it. So basically, you have your date, right? Who the JSA was conducted by, me in this case. We're in the Prairie shop. Our task is just routine shop tasks. For those drivers, is things like your weather conditions, you have all your tools with you. Road conditions, you've checked those before you went out on the road. If it's poor weather conditions, things like that, you have food and drink in your trucks as well. If we're working with energy sources, like for example, Sal and I talked about welding, right? You're gonna have our radiation during that job task, so you're gonna circle those different types of energy sources you can be exposed to. As you can see, safety glasses and safety toed boots are required at all times in the shop and yard, period. So regardless of what job you are doing, those two pieces of equipment are necessary at all times. If you're doing something more specific, any of those check boxes there will need to be additionally checked as well. So, for example, we'll go back to that welding example, a face shield, FR clothing, and hand protection as well. Any other PPE, again, for specialty tasks will need to be listed there. So our basic steps, I kind of went through this as you guys in the shop do your morning meetings before you all head out to do your thing. We kind of went through a few of the things that you typically do, oil and filter changes, tire changes, and then that example I'll talk about later in a bit. So you have your oil and filter changes. Any hazards pertaining to oil and filter changes are pinch points, slips, trips, falls, and elevated work surfaces. Therefore, we have controls for each of those hazards, including gloves, good hand placement, clear pathways, solid footing, and 3 points of contact. Pretty straightforward. So same thing for tire changes. Our hazards include pinch points, heavy lifting, and a suspended load, right, if you're jacking up the truck. Controls for those include gloves, good hand placement, team lifting, and jack stands and lifting bars. So let me go to the next page here and it'll kind of show you that 245 piece. The JSA also has an area map, so I have our shop there, the fence, along the fence we have our muster points. It's obviously going to be the same every day if you're working in the shop. It's pretty much what your picture is going to look like, pointing out where those muster points are located. So that middle section there where it says JSA Revisited, this is if an additional hazard comes up while you're doing your routine tasks, or you're changing or modifying a practice while doing that. So, for example, I said at 2:45 p.m., we revisited the JSA due to something coming up. Let me go back. So at 2:45, we had poor brakes on this tire change that we were doing. So we modified that. We're going to do a brake change now. Different hazards included with that include pinch points, heavy lifting, and spring expansion. Our controls for that, again, include gloves, good hand placement, team lifting, and the proper tools for that job. Before everyone goes out, you're going to have that sign in for the day. I signed in, Sal signed in. We're employees, that's that E. The V is a visitor, so if a vendor or someone comes in, we're expecting them to be held to the same standard. So if they come in, they're going to have a hard hat, their safety glasses, and their steel-toed boots. They're going to sign in on the JSA saying that they are aware of the tasks happening in the shop, and they're included on this JSA at that point. At the end of the day, you're going to say if you were injured or uninjured, yes or no. Obviously, we're going to hope those are all N's. No, you are not injured. And then initial that, signing out at the end of the day, signing off of the JSA. Questions, comments, concerns?
So anybody that goes in the shop has to sign the shop JSA,
Yes.
and they have to have safety glasses and boots.
Yes.
Okay.
Making the clarification again, drivers still not really your wheelhouse to be in the shop, but if anyone else does go in there, You aren't to pass that yellow hazard line, correct? And once you pass that yellow hazard line, you have to have safety-toed boots and your safety glasses. Hard hats are particularly when you're working underneath trucks, so if you're on the shop working on other things, you don't need to have your hard hat on, but you do need those safety-toed boots and your safety glasses. If you're getting under a truck and working on underneath of that truck, that's when your hard hat is required.
But they are doing different hard hats. They're not gonna be the brim.
They're going to be ball caps so they don't get knocked off on things.
And then just to clarify, so the, like, the yard part,
Louder.
the yard, like, just so that everybody understands.
Yes, so for example, smoking, that caution line goes out to our designated smoking areas, so you don't need hard hat, safety-toed boots, safety glasses in those areas, but if you're walking out in the yard, actually where the equipment is being used, you're still going to need your safety-toed boots and your safety glasses. All right, Kyle, you're up.
Okay, so we're making some changes for the safety. Instead of doing it 4 times a month, we're gonna move to doing it once a month. It's gonna be the 3rd Wednesday of the month, and some of the changes, with that, we have to make some changes to the incentive program. So some of those changes are, as a driver, you're eligible to earn $800 in safety incentives per calendar month. This bonus will pay once a month on the second pay period of the month for the previous month provided. So if you meet all requirements for February, the second pay period in March, you'll receive your incentive. You must work all your scheduled shifts. Scheduled shifts include additional shifts that are required and ones that you volunteered for. Makeup will only be accepted with manager's approval. If you take PTO during the month, you will still be eligible to earn the monthly incentive if you request your PTO 14 days or more in advance. So no more of, I'm taking a leave day so you don't get your bonus for that pay period. So that's a definite plus. You must haul all your scheduled loads. Drop loads must be approved by a supervisor. You must complete the monthly safety meeting, preferably in person, and complete the quiz in the Paycor learning system with the passing core by the last day of the month. You have not received more than 8 IVMS alerts in a month. The 9th IVMS alert will result in being ineligible to earn the safety incentive bonus and will require remedial training. So we came up, you guys are allowed 2 a week. So we just said 2 a week, 4 weeks, 8. That's pretty much the same thing, except we're just grouping it all into a monthly incentive. If you get written up, you have an incident, you haul water, you get stuck without chains, all that is still makes you ineligible to earn for that month. Another thing, even if you aren't eligible for the bonus that month, because let's say you hit a cattle guard, you still have to do the safety meeting. Like, it still has to happen. Like, you just don't get
I
it.
can touch on it.
You don't get to say no. I'm not going to do it. I mean, it has to be done. That's why we're switching to the once a month. We're doing the OSHA training. And with all that, you'll receive a copy in Paycor that you'll need to sign, e-sign, and send it back so Kim can put it in your files.
All
Any-
drivers,
All drivers. Any
drivers, tanker drivers,
water?
yeah, water crew.
Water crew. Any questions?
Yeah, you wanna touch on the audits?
What up? That's already in there. Oh yeah, you still have to receive 100% on audits as well. That didn't change.
So these guys are gonna probably wanna know if if something happens, are they still eligible for half of their bonus?
No, it's an all or none deal. It's either you qualify for it for the month or you don't. questions online?
They're getting addressed. We're gonna email it all out. I mean, it's not like this is the only time we're ever gonna communicate this to you.
Yeah.
You're all going to get a copy of it. Make sure you're acknowledging that's what's getting sent over. Paycor, acknowledging that you understand these changes are being made and that you understand them. Merv, for the test for the safety meeting, we're just focusing more on comprehension instead of checking a box that you were present or at the safety meeting. So we want to make sure you guys are actually understanding the information being presented. So there's going to be like 5 questions maybe that say, you know, a few bullet points out of the presentation that you have multiple choice to answer. Just to double check that you do understand it. That's why we're not requiring you to be in person. You don't have to be there, but it's still required that you have them done by the end of the month in order to receive your incentive. Clear?
Okay.
Sal. You're up.
Well, this one came up because the driver asked me a while back. He called and said he had a leak on something, and I asked him what, and he had no idea what I was talking about. So I figured we'd go over this again. Well, not again, but I mean for you guys to understand, just so we're on the same page, what we're trying to get. So the hydraulic system in you. I know it sounds. First, we'll look at the PTO. That's what that picture was on the first one there. Power takeoff is a device that transfers an engine's mechanical power to another piece of equipment. Power takeoff, what it is pulling power from the transmission and then sending it back. All right, Steve?
Correct.
Very good, all right. Hydraulic pump, again, is powered by the PTO. It moves fluid through the lines to the orbit motor, which, and then, you know, in turn spins, wait for it. The roper pump. Yay, see how exciting that is? Nobody? Anybody? Okay. Now, this part's important, just remember, and the reason that's why I pointed directly at it. Now, we gotta remember, the orbit motor and the roper pump, 2 separate things. Again, this is what came up. When I asked specific questions, what are we leaking, what does it look like? Again, the person wasn't sure. So this is what I'm trying to get everyone on the same page so we understand that that orbit motor is what powers that roper pump. So, Tony, do you have something?
No.
Oh, let's just raise your hand, sorry, my bad. And again, the reason I'm putting this out is because I want everybody to be aware that when they call in, it really helps us out the more specific you can be about what the actual issue is. Because again, that's gonna help us diagnose over the phone what we can do to help you out, again, based on what's leaking or what the issue is. So, that's what I had for today. Again, there's other videos on here as well for the adjustments. I didn't want to get into that since there's something already out there. And the main reason we're doing this stuff now is because I want you guys to be able to have some place to fall back to. Anytime you have questions about this and we're not available, this is always online. You can look it up and see what we're talking about. But as far as the tools for adjustment, I'm going to look into how we're going to do that again, as far as getting you guys the correct wrenches to make your adjustments. So that's what I had. So questions, concerns, anything? Nobody? Not a thing. Okay. All right. Good deal. Thank you.
Power takeoff device.
Okay, next we have our Q4 elite employee. LaDonna, would you want to give a rundown of elite employee again, just so we're all on the same page?
Just come up there.
Sure.
We can't hear you from back there, LaDonna.
You can't hear me anyway.
Yeah, just stand right by the mic, and I'll flip this around. So
Okay, so elite employee, we've been doing it for about 1.5 years now. It's where employees nominate their coworkers for going over and above, not just one incident, but on a continual basis. Somebody that you see that is just being outstanding on a daily basis. helping other employees, shows up on time, just works extra shifts, just everything that would make up an elite employee. It's up to the employees to nominate those people each quarter. We're really lacking in nominations lately, so we're hoping to, with the new pictures we're taking, recognition on the walls downstairs, trying to get people more involved. But we did have several nominations this last time. And once we get nominated, it goes to the recognition committee. The recognition committee is about 5 people that go over the nominations. What they look for is just everything about that employee, whether they've had any write-ups, do they call in sick a lot, just their everyday activities and how good of an employee they are. Drivers, we look at IBMS, dropped loads. So, what else?
Incidents.
Just your everyday being an employee, whether you're being an actual team member or you're just all about yourself, just how you portray yourself on a daily basis for Prairie. The winner does receive $1,000 cash. Well, it actually gets put on your paycheck, but it's $1,000. We are doing awards now. Danica was the first one to receive the actual award last quarter. You get your picture taken with our backdrop. Austin will be in the picture and the manager of whatever department the employee comes from. Runners up are recognized. They do get $25 in Prairie points for just being nominated. Any questions? No? Okay. Do you want to announce them?
Yep. So our nominees for quarter 4, and I will read each of your letters as well. First we have Brian Gunther was a nominee.
Who was he nominated by?
He was nominated, where do I find that information? Nominated by Seb Wood.
Sebastian.
Yeah. I read that too, right? The letter. Okay. On 55 Ranch Road, I took a wrong turn and went down a narrow one-way road until I saw no oil field traffic sign. Brian saw me backing up, stopped, directed me back, then brought me to the correct turn, making sure the whole way that I was following and got to where I needed to be. The site was Icarus, I believe. All right. So, over and above and beyond. Oh, sorry. Next we have Ethan Lenner, nominated by Josh Cunliffe. Ethan's gone from the Prairie Truck Driving School noob to quite the oil hauling savage in a pretty short time. Makes my old tired self step it up and stay competitive. We like to see that. Next we have Shane Fulgham, nominated by David Street. And of course, in David's style, this one is long. Working with Shane, he is very driven by developing processes and safety procedures for our shop. Comes with great ideas or suggestions to the safety program. All have great value and will keep all the OSHA requirements covered. He's open to other suggestions and also enforcement of these procedures to keep employees safe. We often overlook safety in the shop and tend to concentrate and discuss this aspect with the drivers. But where is the most likely place to have injuries or violations? The shop. His dedication to safety and compliance is such to be emulated. Shane works hard and often stays late on his own time to make sure all employees leave safely, leaving no one alone left in the shop, where something can happen and have no assistance when needed. Safety and compliance recognizes Shane's value in our safety program. Thank you, Shane. We can clap. I think we can clap. Fulgent, really?
Yeah.
I've been pronouncing that wrong this whole time. I'm so sorry, Shane. I feel so bad. Oh, we'll move on. And last we have Steve Lamb by Lori Wisser. Is that right? Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Steve, you're very knowledgeable, always very helpful, and always willing to help. When there are questions about parts, Steve can be counted on to know which part is needed and may also have one in his toolbox that you can use. And we clap again. Alright, last is our winner of the Elite Employee Q4. Are we all ready? We can do a real drum roll now. No? Okay. Alright, so our winner for Q4 is Adrian Gutierrez. Do I pronounce that right?
Yeah.
Nice. Alright. And I will read, this was nominated by Marcus Mendoza. I consider Adrian an elite employee because of several reasons. He's always on time. He follows processes to a T. He's driven and focused to complete his job the right way in a timely and safe manner. Adrian's attitude towards a rough situation is always positive, and he brings a little humor to the table that really helps the morale in the shop. He's a valued member of the team. Thank you. No?
Yeah, they have other things that they're gonna say.
Oh, there's more things. Come get your fancy award, first of all. I don't want to get my grimy mitts all over it. Do you want to...
Yeah, just set it there for now.
Just...
God, don't drop it.
Hold on, wait.
Oh,
Back up
sorry.
just a
Just
smidge.
something I threw together. Come on, and again, this is because the first time, like, seeing it, well, the second time I saw mechanic get something. So, mechanic is an artisan. That's a skilled tradesperson, one who uses tools to build, maintain, or repair equipment and machinery. In the shop setting, it's great to know that we have skilled technicians with a world of knowledge behind them, but it's exciting when one stands out above the rest with desire and passion, enthusiasm to complete tasks, not only to our standards, but to raise the bar for the rest to achieve. So, another round of applause. Thank you.
You ain't done yet there, lad. I didn't type anything up. I'm not one of words, I'm more action. But working next to him, to Aladdin, Adrian, shows a lot of skills, initiative. He's not scared at all to ask a question. If he comes into a rut, he stops what he's doing, asks for help, and I think I've given you a few challenges that he's not used to, and he addresses them and successful in that equipment side of that shop. And there's no questions needed. So,
Adrian rocks.
expect more of him.
Wonderful. Last we will do our op notes. I didn't get anything, guys.
I didn't have much this time. I did the incentive bonus.
I'm just asking if you have anything, and if not,
I don't.
great. That is all then. If you have any questions, comments, concerns over anything we went over today, please reach out to someone. Again, it'll all be going out in other communication forms to make sure you guys are well informed about it. But until then, we'll see you next week. Have a safe week, guys.